Now let us continue with this crusade against these worthless mutts and their controlling, enabling owners. Let's talk about the control freak personality of these dog nuts. I read an article yesterday where this dog nut took it upon herself to carry out this experiment to find out if dog owners are willing to spend more money on their dog than cat owners are willing to spend on their cat. Right away, there's a problem. Why not simply be happy with your pet of choice? No. Dog nuts have to always find a way to project themselves and their pets as superior. This is a part of what maintains their ego. Now, she wrote an article titled "Americans Like Dogs More Than Cats for One Simple Reason." Sorry, cat lovers, but the facts don't lie. One of these alleged irrefutable experiments. Now, in this article, she points out that dog owners are willing to spend more money on dogs because dog owners have a stronger bond with their dogs than cat owners have with their cats. She basically explains that the reason dog owners have a stronger bond with their dog is because dogs allow their owners to exercise their control freak behavior, while cats are more difficult to control. Cats are notoriously independent. She says, quote, "Dogs are famously more compliant than cats. When owners feel in control of their pets, strong feelings of psychological ownership and emotional attachment develop, and pet owners want to be masters, not servants," end quote. How are they not servants to that mutt? They are just as much of a servant to the dog, more so than cat owners are with cats. They have to wash that stinking, filthy mutt far more often. Have to keep an eye on it far more often than cat owners have to do with cats. These people seem to think that there is nothing wrong with being a control freak. This lady is actually encouraging the mentality, as if to suggest to dog owners to be proud control freaks, right? Now, the last sentence would most likely be objected to by several cat owners about how pet owners want to be masters and not servants. Cat owners may simply enjoy the company of cats, but do not need to be controlling, right? They don't need cats to be all up in their faces and up under them all the time the way dogs do. And again, the reason dogs act like this is not because they are being more affectionate. It is not because they worship their owner or look at them as some type of god. It is because they are constantly begging for food. When they stare at you, when they are constantly at your feet, in your face, and by your side, they want you to pull out a treat or some type of food and give it to them. Dogs will be stuffed and they will continue eating. They will eat until they are sick, until they throw up. They will eat until they literally die. So because dogs always want something to eat, always want something, they're always willing to do something to get it. This is exactly what makes them so trainable. Dog trainers will talk about it. They call it a trainable food drive. Their obsession with eating. This is the perfect type of pet for people who are control freaks. She highlights that, quote, valuation differences are due to consumers' feelings of ownership and attachment for dogs versus cats, end quote. She did another piece titled Dogs Have Masters, Cats Have Staff. She says, perceived control of the pet's behavior drives consumers' feelings of ownership and valuation. In other words, in layman terms, the more an animal cooperates and submits to their controlling personality, the more they appreciate the animal, right? She does not consider the possibility that cat owners do not have this desire to be controlling. Yeah, dog nuts willing to spend extra money because they're getting off on being controlling. It makes sense. Their ownership of dogs is based on feeding into their own mental disorder. There is a rush in that. It's an intense emotional experience. Naturally, you're going to get more of a rush being in control and being a control freak over a mutt than a cat owner who leans more towards appreciation for the cat's company. You can imagine that people who engage in bestiality with dogs have more intense experiences than cat owners have with the company of their cat. Right? That doesn't mean dogs are better than cats. It's all the result of how you choose to interact with the dog. In this case, they are being control freaks. They are feeding into this mental disorder. They are trying to alleviate their feeling of insecurity. One of the root causes of a controlling personality is insecurity. So of course, if dogs alleviate your feelings of insecurity, then the dogs will function like medicine. That doesn't mean dogs are better than cats. Psychologini.com, a psychology website, wrote, another very prominent reason for some people to be way too demanding and controlling is because by controlling you, they can shadow their own insecurities and low self-esteem. It could be possible that these people can't bear the fact that they have no control over your life. And just to come out of that frustration, they tend to become dominant and aggressive over you. Maybe they were never paid attention to in the past. And now they want to do each and everything possible to make your life revolve around them. That's dog nuts to a T. They want to be the center of their dog's life. That's why they get off when they walk through the door and the dog goes crazy. Right? These dog nuts are at work all day, surrounded by people who they cannot control, going crazy in the back of their mind. As a result, co-workers who've realized that this person is controlling and they make it a point to not be controlled by this person. So when the dog nut goes home, the first thing that food-obsessed mutt thinks about is eating. So just like a flock of chickens will run up to a human, excited, jumping up and down because they associated the human with feeding time, the dog will do the same thing. It will run up to them, jump up and down, jump on them, and lick their faces because it wants food. Again, face licking is not kisses. It is a fact that this is the dog's way of begging for food. But dog nuts interpret all of this food begging behavior as attention and affection. Most of all, They interpret it as being in control of the dog's happiness. That their presence alone is what makes the dog happy. Psychology Today wrote about how insecure people need to build their self-esteem. And they wrote, when you aren't feeling good about who you are on the inside, it is natural to want to look outside of yourself for validation. End quote. I've talked about that. Dog nuts look outside themselves towards dogs. Cats will show you affection for a few minutes and then go on about their business. Dogs will stay there. They will constantly invade your space, all up in your face, follow you into any room you go into, even the bathroom, because they want food that bad. They want you to pull out a treat or some other type of food. Food-obsessed scavengers display the type of attention to their food provider that is easily interpreted by a controlling, insecure person as admiration, as worship and affection. And dog nuts get off on this as an addiction to them or mere love for their presence. No, the mutt is simply obsessed with food. This is why they call dogs loving. It's all food begging, food obsessed behavior that they are interpreting as love, affection, and admiration. It is one of the most embarrassing displays of stupidity in the human species. And this lady is using that behavior as the basis to argue that dogs are better than cats because they're easier to control. And she's using the control freak personality of dog nuts as the reason why they're willing to spend more money on dogs. When the dogs are obedient, it gives them a high that is greater than the high felt by cat owners who don't get off on being a control freak. That doesn't surprise me. Again, it doesn't mean dogs are better than cats. And it is amazing to me that this woman never asked herself, how is this something to be proud of? These people have no shame. And this control freak personality extends into the community. When you walk down the sidewalk and have a mutt come out of nowhere barking at you, that is an extension of their controlling personality. They get off on having control over your experiences, even as you walk through the neighborhood. If this were not the case, they would keep the dog away from the edge of the fence, because it would dawn on them that random people walking by peacefully down the sidewalk do not deserve to be threatened. They don't deserve that type of experience. But no, dog nuts do nothing about it. I believe they actually get off on it. They want the dog to startle you, to raise your blood pressure, send your nervous system into fight or flight mode. It's all about having control over your experience. The same is true when they bring dogs into stores, into restaurants, hospitals, dentist offices, etc. They force you to deal with their dog's presence, no matter if you are allergic or simply find it unhygienic. They want to be in control of your experiences by forcing you to deal with the dog's presence. And if you object to the dog's presence, they will lash out in rage. It is all an attempt on their part to extend their control freak relationship with their mutt into the public and onto the public. They figure if they can't control you directly, they will use their dog to control your experiences. This is a group of severely sick people. That's exactly why they conceal the fact that they own a dog. when they invite you into their home. As soon as you walk through the door, the dog jumps on you. They feel as if they are in complete control over you because they have single-handedly created your experience. And it's really better to understand these people rather than be confused and dumbfounded, because that only adds to your frustration. These people need mental help. They want to control everybody. Your thoughts, your experiences, your behavior, to alleviate their feelings of insecurity, their low self-esteem. A massive group of people who simply have mental problems. They need to build their self-esteem. Psychology Today wrote that insecure people focus too much on their flaws and that they need to focus more on their qualities. In fact, they advise you to stop criticizing yourself completely. Now, this would help, but I would not recommend it, right? Because if you totally ignore your flaws, you'll never be able to improve yourself as a person and grow as a person. You simply have to keep in mind that everybody is flawed. Don't come down so hard on yourself. Being flawed is a part of being human. A lot of celebrities run into this. Fanatics. They finally meet some celebrity and they realize, oh, this is just a normal person. Of course. I think it is a sign of weakness to avoid reflecting on things you need to improve about yourself. That's exactly what dog nuts need to do. But there is a feeling of euphoria when you change the way you behave for the better. You feel like a new person. This is the mentality that humans have when they evolve. And we're basically sitting around dealing with dog nuts and their controlling behavior, waiting for them to evolve, where they don't need a worthless, disgusting scavenger in their life to feel good about themselves. And so that they will stop being a menace to society and put an end to dog attacks. Think about it. Not even dog attacks will change these people. That's when you know. Majority on children. That's when you know you're dealing with a group of people with severe mental disorders. Normal people will be like, whoa, I'm not going to purchase one of those things. I would not be able to live with myself if a dog that I owned did a child like that. But no, they are so addicted to getting off on being control freaks that they can't live without them. They'll simply find some way to justify the dog's presence and to blame the attacks onto the victims. So it is a cold, sick world that we have to deal with. Hopefully, we will eventually get to a point where these mutants, these are absolutely removed 100% from society.